and welcome to Mumbai से Manchester. मैं हूँ सौरभ, हमारे साथ है निखिल and a very very special guest, Anshuman Singh. Hi Anshuman, great to have you on our show.
Hello, Saurabh.
So
It's been great to be here.
great. If you guys have been following Anshuman on Twitter, he's followed by Lou Macari, a long time Manchester United fan and a social media influencer of sorts amongst the Manchester United community. So great to have him on the show. Today we are here to talk about our season review. जैसे last week हम लोग ने Europa League final देखा था against Villarreal where we lost to them on penalties. कल हम लोग ने देखा Chelsea thankfully beat City and shut the blue side of Manchester up. But today we are mostly here to talk about Manchester United का last season कैसा था and आगे जाके what do we expect from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, our Manchester United squad and our board. So with that, I'll open it up. Anshuman, Europa League final ka result obviously did not go our way. What do you think went wrong? And why do you think trophies are still eluding us and eluding Ole? 2.5 years ho gaye, and we still haven't landed a trophy under Ole.
I will like to, point out like 2 or 3 facts for why we lost the game. Team sheet wise, lineup wise, it was the best team which we should have put out, on the field since we didn't have Harry. We, tried to go attacking wise. We dropped Fred. We started with McTominay. We put Pogba back in the midfield. Everything was, that's how you wanted Ole to put out the team to be. But when the players don't show up, in the the biggest game of the season, of course, it's on to the manager as well. But in that scenario, I will put the blame on the players. Like it was 80% the players, 20% on Ole because of the substitutions he didn't make. Rashford was like knackered for 70 minutes. After 70 minutes, he still managed to put out, 120 minutes. Pogba was replaced, that's fine. But, Fred was brought in. But the main point, the main concern is when you go into the bigger game, when you play, a knockout game, it's the mentality of the players that is, eluding us. Like apart from a certain Bruno or a certain Cavani, even Bruno was shit in the finals. He was nowhere to be seen. But one bad game, that doesn't matter. My whole point is when you go and play out in a finals, you have to put that mentality of that, you are going to win. It was not like we are playing a high time Barcelona or a high time Madrid where you won't have the ball, where you, just base your game on the counter attack. Ball was with us. We had attacking 4 or 5 players, which was more than sufficient to run down their midfield and even their 35-year-old TB. We, Pau Torres, he had like the game of his, career so far, given us no chance whatsoever. It was like he was auditioning for us. Come and take me. I'm here to show you what I can do. Sell Lindelof. Like when you are a club of United stature and you are starting CBs like Lindelof and Bailey in the final, that shows how much you lack in the depth department. If not for them, like, apart from those two, we have an injured Jones and a Tunzebe who has not played well. He has the potential, but so far it's been hit and miss. He will be 80 minutes, top of the world, and 10 minutes he will, make a mistake and we will concede a goal. So all these factors come into play. I'm still convinced that Ole will lead us to a trophy, but that totally depends upon the signings we make. People be like, he has spent over 250 million. Yes, he has spent 250 million, but that's rebuilding squad. The squad which he inherited, with the likes of Lukaku, with the likes of Sanchez, Smalling, these players needed to be just, shown the door. Simple as that. And when you go and when you are United, you will have to pay like 20-25 million extra for every player you go out for. Simple. Like that, Harry Maguire would have costed 50 million to Chelsea. For us, it was 80 million.
Yeah.
Bruno would have costed 35 to 40 to other teams. It was like overall 60-65 million for us. Yeah. So yes, he has set up the base, for the coming years. We have made a particular core. In the midfield, we have Pogba, we have Bruno, we have got Donny. If Pogba leaves, Donny can come, right in. We have Rashford, we have Greenwood. But then when you look at the bench, it still look vulnerable. No game changers. And I still want three players, like a right winger and a CDM and a CB to slot right in so that we can play the way we want to without being the nonsense of protecting our CBs and protecting our midfield. Because when you have a particular CDM, we all know how that's gonna pan out.
Yeah.
We won't have to play McFred. Pogba might be having more freedom. Even if he wants to leave, then Donny can come directly in. So there are a lot of things. I'm not saying we should not have beaten Villarreal with this squad, but all the blame apart from the substitutions is on the players rather than Ole, in my opinion. He messed up with the substitutions. I totally agree. He like he should have brought in Donny. He should have replaced De Gea in the end because we all know how De Gea fares with the penalties.
Yeah.
He should have just done a Louis van Gaal move. Like he did in the World Cup, bringing on Krul. He could have just because Henderson much better with the feet, much better with the movement.
Yeah.
And we all knew the moment De Gea stepped up to take the penalty that it was doomed.
Yeah.
And even with every penalty, he didn't look like saving a single one. It was like if their player missed somehow, then we are in the game.
Yeah.
It was not like, De Gea is going to make a save.
So
the one that I remember clearly was when Van Persie scored against us in that 8-2 De Gea saved. Like there are very few penalties that De Gea would have saved. So that substitution clearly
It's been
makes sense.
5 years since he last saved a penalty. The last one was against, I guess, Lukaku against Everton. That was it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with you. 80% of the blame was with the players in that game. 20% was with Ole. But if I extrapolate that over a period of the season, I'd even go as far as saying that the 80% of the blame for a trophyless last couple of years or last few years has been with the owners for not backing the manager. And
That's
then
100%.
the last 20% has been with the players and the manager who has been in charge. So if you see last night's Champions League winning Chelsea, every manager that they bring in gets backed, and uske baad, if they don't get results, then it's a sackable offense.
That's sort of the whole point. That's what people on social media, they lose. They're cool. They're like, he got the trophy in 5 months. He didn't spend a penny. And I was like, for fuck's sake, they have spent already 275 million. What you wanted, Roman to do, like send him 500 million more. He inherited a squad of 280 million pounds. All right, it was tactics, it was hard work, everything, but he got a team which was already built, and that only shows that how shit Lampard is. But then we will come back to, Tuchel, he did a brilliant job, Chelsea much deserved. And again, in the finals, Pep outthinks himself, Pep outdoes himself, and Pep loses himself.
Yeah, talking about that, when you think about Chelsea, they are results driven, right? Their board is results driven. When they last won the Champions League, uske aadhe season mein, the manager again got the sack. Who knows, if Tuchel doesn't do well until December, he might get the sack again, right? Just because they look like they're not going to challenge for the Premier League now.
That's what his owner is all about. Chelsea's owner is all about results. When he is putting up millions and millions of his own money, club's money, own money doesn't matter. When he is giving you a 200 million window, if he is giving you the players you ask for, he brings you on the silver platter. You ask for Werner, you get Werner. You ask for Havertz, you get Havertz. You ask for Silva, you get Silva.
Right.
And if after that, if you're not, showing results, of course, with us, Glazers know that they can't sack Ole because they will feel the outrage because he is not backed. All right, no manager will come in the spotlight and they will say, that I have a bad relationship with the owner.
Right.
People are like, he said Joel loves the club. Of course, what would he say? That Joel hates the club and lose the job the next day.
Yeah.
And 2 years of work all goes in vain. No one knows what the next manager, going to come and do.
Yeah. And as fans, you would be frustrated. Like every manager change, we try to calm ourselves down, saying, "Hey, or 2-3 saal, 2 or 3 more years, we'll rebuild and we'll be at that level of City and Liverpool." Did we lose Anshuman? Okay. Yeah. So every 2-3 years, we have been thinking about it, but this is the time. This is the only time, to be honest, that at the end of a 2.5-year cycle now, I'm still confident. I wasn't personally in that case. Mourinho ne to pura, he had completely messed things up, like with the players, with the CEO, and in general, like the media fracas that happened. Even Louis van Gaal, the style was so regressive, fans were against him. This is the time I think fans are still with the manager, and because of the style of football, as you said, like signings is what we need this summer, and we don't know if And I'm not sure if 2 or 3 signings would do, but at least for this window, we'll need 2 or 3 top players, not like a kind of a player.
Yeah. This window we need at least 3. The positions which I mentioned, right winger, CDM and CB. Any less, and we are not qualifying for the Champions League next year. Liverpool will be stronger. They will be fitter. City, obviously, they will be like, all right, 300 million pounds more. Right. Chelsea will be spending.
Yeah.
Even Leicester have started making signings. They will be up there.
Right.
And we all know how fragile our players are. 3 months, 4 months, one of them is out for sure.
Yeah.
Even Marcus might get operation after the Euros, and he will be out for like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
So it's like, if we have a good window, it's all rosy. If we don't get a good window, it's all messed up, and we are not getting top 4 with this squad next season if we are not making up the additions. When it comes to talking about the ex-managers, we all know Louis van Gaal, what targets did he wanted and what he got. He wanted the likes of Cruz, he wanted the likes of Bale and everything, and what he got, Schneiderlin and all those. We all know what he got. So, and he's, when you rebuild a team, it always takes time.
Yeah.
Right.
Van Gaal, all right, his football was possession based, but then the players which he wanted for that team to thrive upon, he didn't get those players.
Right.
He wanted passing players like Cruz, and when he wanted strikers, he wanted someone different, because of the runs and everything. So when you don't back a manager, you don't expect them to, just do whatever they want to with the squad they have.
Right.
They might put the squad to the limit. They might win a trophy here or there, but in the long run, it's gonna just fail. That's simple as that.
Absolutely agree. So if our board keeps delivering 5th, 6th, 7th choice signings for every position the manager asks for, we should not expect anything better than 5th, 6th, 7th place finish in the league and ending up trophyless, unless we go for our first choice targets, or at least the first choice or a backup target. I don't think we are going anywhere with this.
So Anshuman, since you mentioned right wing, earlier you mentioned right wing is one area that you would strengthen, CDM and centre back. What would be what I would call a fantasy transfer? Like, if you want that kind of a player, which would be that player in the right wing position?
Nikhil, I will say one thing, like last window and this window, this is not about fantasizing a player or something. It's our most realistic chance of getting world-class players at a reduced fee where we are facing no competition at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you talk about right wing, there is just one name. He wants to sign for us. We want to sign him. Everything is sorted. And then it's like, it's the fee. When you know that player is going to cost a 90 million, but he will sort out your future, like for a decade,
right?
And he is like the poster kid. He is like the poster boy of what England's future is going to look like.
Right.
And if you're not able to get that guy in, even after, doing all those last minute, PR stuff, you're not running a football club. And even if you're running a business entity, it's going to be failure because you are not putting your money in the right place.
Right. Yeah.
Someone wants Sancho and you give him Ahmad and you give him Pelistri.
Yeah.
This is just someone wants a striker. All right, Cavani. I love Cavani, but obviously we knew that he will be here max to max 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So when it comes to making signings, it's basically we have a free hand on Sancho for the last 1.5 years, almost 2 years now.
Right.
Yeah.
That guy is not, no one wants him because no one can afford him. Plus, they already have the sort of players they wanted. If you look at Chelsea, their right wing is totally sorted with Ziyech and with Callum Hudson-Odoi. When you look at Liverpool, they have their players. When you look at City, they have their players. Apart from these three clubs, no one can afford Sancho in Premier League apart from us. When you look at in Madrid, they have their players. You look at Barca, they have their players. Apart from that, they don't have the money. So apart from these 5-6, Syria don't have the money. It's like basically United bound, but still we are waiting till the Euros. Why to wait till Euros? It makes no sense. You want a player, season is over.
Yeah.
He might get injured in the Euros. All right, that might happen. You have signed a player, he might get injured. But then he has a brilliant Euros.
Yeah.
And then his price was Dortmund all of a sudden all right, we still want 120. We don't want 90.
Right. Yeah.
And then you will be like, oh, they increased the price, so we can't afford him.
Yeah. And with the Euro starting in 2 something weeks, I think effectively we'll have 2-week window now and 2-week window after 2 or 3-week window after the Euros. So
yeah,
the
main thing about signing, early is to give a player, to acclimatize with the players, with the conditions, and also to have a very nice preseason.
Right.
Even if you sign the player in the last, as Dortmund has clearly, clarified that they won't sell Sancho in the last week or last few days. Simple as that. So it gives us a very short time window before the preseason starts. Preseason will be starting in the last of July. Euro will finish, and it will be like the players will have around 2 weeks, just to settle.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's how it is. It's like a clear run at Sancho, and if we don't get him this year, I just don't know what else to say.
And that's where well-run football clubs with a clear strategy, they make their decisions for the summer transfer window in January, February, March. They have pre-contract signed. You can see Boubacar Soumare has already signed with Leicester. You can see Konate has signed with Liverpool. Upamecano has gone to Bayern. Alaba has gone to Madrid. So all the big movers, all the well-run clubs are already making their moves. And if we are to believe the reports, all the personal agreements, agent fees, all of that has been agreed with Sancho for more than 18 months now. It's all about putting the money there. And agar Sancho injure hota bhi hai Euros mein, so wouldn't it be beneficial for us to have him signed up before we rule him out for the injury? Because we are not signing him for the next 3 months. We are signing him for the next 10 years. So, if we are putting off signing Sancho क्योंकि Euros में injure होगा वो तो he can slip off उसके घर के stairs में और गिर के भी injure हो सकता है. You can't just keep waiting.
Yeah, exactly. That was my point of view in with the way why we are delay signing. I was just taking a bit of space out on the Glazers that why if you want a player just get him. You don't have to worry about what happens and what not happens.
Yeah.
That can happen to any player. Even Pogba is going to the World Cup. Rashford is going to the World Cup.
Yeah.
So that's how it is. Like a proper window, as I said, 3 players in. If we can get a 4th, that would be like the dream.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't see, apart from Sancho, Glazers will make a move. Glazers will try to, sort out the fans in a way that, we become silent for at least one more season. They will deliver, you can say, a marquee signing. 90 million, and then they will be like, oh, it's COVID, we have to sell players in order to add players and all that drama which they do every year. So
Right.
I am hoping one player, and apart from that, it's all on the
So you mentioned right wing. Obviously, I think all three of us agree. Sancho, we should be signing anyways. You mentioned CDM as that role. Which is that player that
Either-
we can realistically sign
either
and should
Rice
sign?
or either Zakaria. Either Rice or Zakaria. Both are available. That depends on how much you are willing to poke. Obviously, Rice is not worth 90 million. If West Ham are thinking that they can get 90 for Rice, they are not even getting Europe next year. That's what I'm saying. It's better to cash on Rice this year than daydreaming of 90 million for him. Realistically, he should be around 60-65, and that's because he's playing for England.
Right.
And that's because United are going, so obviously they will take 20 million extra.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's what suits us the most, right? If he's not, if they're not willing to sell, then we should go for the likes of Zakaria. He is one player which I really like. He after the injury, he is still getting back to his rhythm. But in a long-term future, if you see, he's just 23 right now. He is good with the ball. He can pass the ball. That's the way we want to play, from the midfield. The players who can move the ball quickly across. So he is the one guy, and he will be like dirt cheap when it comes to the price. He will be around 40-45 billion. So either Rice for 60-65 or either Zakaria. Both are available and both can easily come.
Yeah. Thoughts about Bissouma? Like I've seen a lot of fans mention Bissouma at Brighton as a possible.
Bissouma at Brighton, but then he is a total like go hard kind of guy. But he is not what we need. Like for him, he can break the play. He's brilliant. He can cover the grass. But then we also want our CDM to move the ball forward, which he can't do.
Yeah.
He is good with breaking the plays, with the tackles, with everything. He will be a force to reckon with in the midfield. But then don't expect the passing thing. Then again, the burden will be on Pogba and Bruno to make all those passes. With Rice or even Zakaria, that problem is solved. Those two guys can run, can cover the grass as well. But at the same time, they can make a killer pass as well.
Great. So Anshuman, if you are to believe, and most of us do believe, Fabrizio Romano, Declan Rice first choice is Chelsea. It looks obvious that Chelsea might move on Jorginho and get Rice as a replacement, just as United have personal terms agreed with Sancho. There are rumors that Declan Rice has already agreed personal terms with Chelsea, and that's his first choice. Same with Zakaria. Apparently, Pep Guardiola wants him as Fernandinho's successor. So, and we know for a fact that City, when they make the transfer moves, the personal terms are never going to be a problem. If these two players are unattainable because we were too slow or we did not make the right move, who else do you think can be a right fit for this position?
Then I would have to go with Bissouma. We will have to lack the passing skills, but that guy can be an enforcer in the midfield in terms of his tackling and the ground he can cover. We can rotate him with McTominay and Fred where we want to give him a rest as well, because we need our a CDM, just because we have to get our CBs some break, as well as our forward players, where we should see most of the times if we don't have the ball, we just look lackluster, we just lack vision of where to be on the field. So in that scenario, if we have a CDM, if he can just bring us the ball, rest will be done by Pogba, rest will be done by Bruno. All you got to do is, protect those two players, and even if they mistakes in losing the ball, that guy can run around and get the ball, just like Kante do.
Yeah.
It gives an extra bit of freedom to the central midfielders, the two, class midfielders we have. So they need a sense of security that, all right, if they lose the ball, there is a guy behind them who can just, run across and get the ball for them again. and we can go on to the attack again.
Yeah. So Sancho for right wing, you're saying Declan Rice, Dennis Zakaria, Bissouma in that order for central defensive midfield. You also spoke about a centre back option. Do you have a short list and your order
Just
of priority?
Varane, obviously. Like, he is a gold mine. If that guy wants to leave Madrid, put up a bid right now. Just put up a bid right now. It makes absolutely no sense of letting that guy go. He's still like 27, 28.
Yeah.
So even if you are, and for the price which we can get him, it's not like we are getting a centre back for 4 years and we are selling out 80 or 90 million. It would be around 40 to 45. And we will be having a centre back for the next 4 or 5 years, 4 years minimum. So he is the one. And apart from that, Pau Torres. He was man on the mission, in the finals. He was like, this is what I can do. And this is what Lindelof is doing for you. So it's your choice who you want, Lindelof or me.
Until a couple of days back, where Gary Neville published his interview with Harry Maguire, I was also of the opinion that a left-footed centre-back who can play on the left-hand side of our central defence, that would mean that a right-footed centre-back, Maguire, who we have already spent 80 million on, can be moved to the right-hand side of the defence and give us a balance. That was my opinion as well, and that's why I was all out for Varane. But going by Harry Maguire's quotes, and he specifically says that he sees himself as a left centre back, and he said that he prides himself that the 3 left backs that he has played with when partnering on the left hand side of central defense. He said that at Hull, he had a great relationship with Robertson. We obviously know how that turned out, and Robertson is now one of the best left backs in the world. At Leicester, he partnered with Ben Chilwell, and Chilwell obviously is a wonderful left back, and he has won a Champions League now with Chelsea. And now he also goes on to mention that Luke Shaw has turned things around in partnering with Maguire and consistently playing next to him. With that in mind, going with a left-footed centre back, if we think that might disturb the balance, do you have any right-footed or a right centre back option?
No, I won't. It's like, if he is comfortable playing over there, but then for the, better situation for the team, you would have to take a, step back. All right, you have a wonderful relationship, but it's not like if Pau Torres came, you will be a dull, you will be a dud in the right side of the center, center half pairing.
Yeah.
It's not just because we can't get, him to the right center back spot means we let go of someone like a Varane or someone like Pau Torres just because, oh, my relationship with Luke Shaw is very good. All right, make a new relationship, do it with Van Bissaka, or him to, move forward a bit. That you are the leader, you should lead the team forward. Yeah. That's how it is. We need signings which will improve our team. We don't have to look out, personal ambitions. It's a team sport. It's not like, oh, me and Shaw are doing well, we should be, taking that spot. Yeah. Even Rashford is not a right winger, but he plays when he, when the team wants him to accommodate Pogba or to accommodate someone else. He might not be that effective in the few games, but of course, it's like, he's presenting himself with a choice that, if you need me, I will be there.
Yeah. If you are to believe United's #1 centre back target this summer is Jules Koundé. You have
absolutely buffling, Yeah. I just don't know why we are even targeting him. Many people like him, I don't. People are like, he's good in the air. He is good in the air. No, he has a good leap. He can head the ball out of. But then in the La Liga scenarios, players do get a lot of help from the referees. Here, if he is going to take a jump, a player like Chris Wood will come right into his face, hit the ball in front of his face. and referee will be like, goal.
Right.
And you can't even debate with him.
Yesterday, I think Saurabh, you mentioned, right? He's 5'10". Yeah,
Exactly. Like players like Chris Wood, players like, the Burnley strikers, or even the teams which are coming up.
Yeah,
You know,
Danny
he
Ings,
will,
Harry Kane, they will all be drawn towards the striker who is not good.
exactly, they will have him for a feast. It's not like he's Usain Bolt. He's not that quick. He's good. He's not that quick.
Yeah.
And most of ever ball, it's his price.
Mm.
Yeah.
That guy is not even worth 40, let alone 65 and 80.
Yeah.
We all know what happened to Sevilla in the Champions League.
Yeah.
They got battered, bruised. Like he played 2 games against the likes of Haaland.
Mm.
And we all have seen what happened. And you are asking me to take that guy for 38 games against the likes of Harry Kane, against the likes of Jesus, even pacey players like Havertz and pacey players like Werner, Aubameyang. You are asking me to take that 5'10" and put that, all right, you will be in the heart of the Manchester United defense, and you have to deal with those guys.
Yeah.
I don't even have him on my shortlist, let alone in the top 2, top 3, not on the shortlist at all.
Yeah, I checked out both Jules Koundé and Pau Torres from a statistics standpoint. Pau Torres, I did see him obviously in the final. I haven't had the chance to check him out in like an entire game besides this. But I feel in the final, we didn't really offer much of a challenge to Villarreal.
No, I'm just saying he is not a finished product yet. Neither is Koundé.
Right.
But then I rate Torres more, the ceiling,
Right.
ceiling wise. That's where I rate him more.
Yeah.
And even if he didn't offer, much, he looked like a player apart. If you look at the other 3 CVs which were on the field, he has been through bad games. But when you compare the games which Koundé had, especially against Dortmund,
right,
it was like he was fearful of his life against the likes of, Haaland.
Yeah.
He was like, just get me off the pitch somehow.
Couple names come to my mind besides Torres. One is Koulibaly at Napoli. I know he is 29, maybe going to 30. Thoughts? You wouldn't go for him?
Absolutely zero. No need of him. Like if we are talking about Koulibaly before injury and 3 years back, then then might be. But Koulibaly at 30 and what he has been through, nah, absolutely not. He is not even a starter these days for Napoli.
What about Sven Botman, Lille?
As I said, we need a player, who has proven himself. He has won the, French League this year with Lille. He has his, as I say, he is good in the air. He is physical. He is fine. But then we need ball playing centre backs.
Yeah.
And I'm not totally convinced by his ball playing abilities as of yet. If he comes, that's fine. He can definitely improve. He is one of the talents. He is good build. He got good amount of pace. He can run back. He can think. But of course, if we are looking at a ball playing centre back, then as of now, I will take him as a number 3rd choice behind the likes of Varane and Torres.
Yeah.
Koulibaly and Koundé. Absolutely no.
You bring up a great point. There are 2 typical types of goal that we kept conceding last season. One was while playing the ball out from the back, we lost possession in dangerous areas and we conceded goals. And the second is we were terrible at conceding against set pieces and conceding against aerial goals. So if we were to look for a center back, we should absolutely look for someone who can play the ball out from the back. Otherwise, that is never going to work for us. And we'll keep conceding goals like that. And we need someone who is good in the air. And Koundé has half of it. Obviously, say the second half is missing. Sven Botman has half of it. He's good in the air, but might not be good playing playing the ball back out from the back. So we need someone who can fit or play both roles, so that they are a good fit in the overall style of play or the strategy that we go in with each game.
And that's where, apart from the players, I do want Ole to get a defensive coach. Because you just can't make repeating the mistakes game after game for the entire season. Whether it's Harry Maguire, whether it's someone else, you are making the same mistakes. And I would bash Ole on this as well, because if you don't have what it takes to play from the back, or to play from the back, especially against the teams which just, just press you so high, against the likes of Liverpool. Like, all right, you can play your game against the likes of Brighton or against the likes of, Spurs or against the likes of Arsenal, who don't, press you so deep. But when it's the likes of Leicester, when it's likes of, City or the likes of Liverpool, you just don't have to play from the back every single time. We have seen how much they can be open, how much their defense can be open just by a long through ball. And we keep on going to the same thing, from the back. The moment there is pressure on Lindelof, he hits himself in the pants. They just can't even clear the ball. He makes mistakes. And we keep doing. So there are certain aspects where Ole has been hesitant to change. And that's because where we have, dropped points. So he needs to look at himself, and he needs to look at the, the squad, his coaching team. I like the likes of McKenna and this Phelan. These guys are good, but I do want someone who can, have his own authority on the defensive players.
Right.
And why we are making the same mistakes for the entire season. That's totally on the manager. It's not even on the players, it's totally on the manager.
All right. So Anshuman, before we close out the transfer topics, there are two players that I wanted to discuss with you. Harry Kane and Jack Grealish. I know these two players do not feature in your top three positions, but clearly these are two players who will still improve our squad, who will still immediately improve our first team. What are your thoughts on these two?
I don't see Grealish as, settling with us in any position, to be very honest. He plays as a left winger for Villa. We don't need him, unless or until we are getting rid of Martial and even Rashford, or, turning him into a number 9. I don't see where we can fit Grealish in this squad. He is not a CDM. He is not a CM. He is an out and out left winger for the Villa team. So I don't see, and plus Villa has successfully, finished in the Premier League, and they have got him to sign a new deal, anything around 80 to 90 million. So doesn't make any sense. Harry Kane, dream signing for any club at this moment, But then when you look at the price, it's like, all right, let that be a dream only. Because if we are spending 120 on Harry Kane, that means we are not able to find any other player, not a single one apart from him. So obviously a World Cup striker like Harry Kane would be very welcome, but then not at the price which Spurs want to sell. And even regarding his age, he will be 29 next year, and he is having his knee problems. So, and with no resale value for a 29-year-old, and if you are selling out 120 and not looking at the positions which you desperately need, just making a signing to, make the big names happy. That, all right, we have signed Harry Kane. What? Yeah, all right, you have signed Harry Kane, but he won't be defending, when you are giving up 3 goals or 2 goals a game. So both are, they are luxury signings, which we can't afford right now. So that's it. Like, I would love both the players to represent United, but I don't see how it's going to be possible in this scenario. like 200 million on 2 players, and even after that, we will still have those 3 positions which we will have to get the players for. So it's not like Glazers are giving us a 400 million, window. But all right, get whatever you want.
Yeah, it's just sad that when we think about luxury signings, we even with the Glazers in charge, we used to make luxury signings under Sir Alex. We bought Van Persie when we had Wayne Rooney still at the club. We had Chicharito, we had Welbeck, we had other strikers at the club. We still went out and bought that 5th striker because he was the best. We bought Berbatov even when we had Tevez, Rooney, Ronaldo, Nani, Park, Giggs in attack. So we used to make those luxury signings, and unfortunately, we are in a position where we are having to prioritize the must-haves and completely let the luxury signings out of the window, which is something that we should sort of force the issue and make it known to the owners that just accepting and doing what is bare minimum is not enough. We need to be able to afford and make those luxury signings at some point in the future. Not it might not be this window or next window, but we need to get back in that position.
Exactly, that's what my point is. When Sir Alex Ferguson bought Van Persie for around 22 million, it was like, even if he did, he played like just one full season, it was money worth it.
Yeah.
So that's how it should be. When you see the other teams making signings, when you see someone like City, they went out and got Ferran Torres for around 25 million. At the same amount, we got Dan James. Imagine the difference in quality. So that's on the scouting. That's also on, and obviously the owners have to back you. You can't just if someone asks for Bruno, you give him Bruno. If someone asks for Maguire or someone asks for Sancho, you give him that player. Then you judge. It's not like if someone is asking for Sancho, you are giving him Pelestri. And that also he's going out on a loan.
So we spent a lot of time talking about the ins. I think a lot will depend on how we manage our current players who are on the books on very high wages. And we need to make a decision on at least 10 or 15 of these players. And I'll do a quick fire with the first 2 or 3 names being the biggest. And then we'll go through the squad, and let's go through a quick fire on keep or retain or sell. Okay. So the first one being Paul Pogba. 12 months on the contract, remaining on the contract.
If he is willing to sign a new contract, keep him. There is no replacement for Paul Pogba in the market. Simple as that. If that guy remains fit, he is the best midfielder in the world. If you just have to, obviously, there are many things like, he is not playing at his best. Of course, he is not, because of what things goes around him, because of Raiola and his family. But if that guy can stay focused, or obviously not at a ways where he is like totally out of the budget or totally making the other signings look very doomed. But if you can keep him at a wage around 350, he's already on 290. If you can give him around 350, keep that guy, because absolutely there is no substitute for Paul Pogba in the market.
Would you keep him even if that means he goes for free next season? If he clearly says that he's not going to sign any contract that United puts in front of him?
No, of course, then sell him in the summer. I said if he is signing a new contract, if you have to increase his wages, just increase by a bit, not like double his wages. But if he is like, I don't want to sign, sell him right now. Sell him right now, and if he wants to go on a free next season, make sure he is on the bench for the entire season, playing for under 23. When you don't want to play for the club, you just don't play at all. Even for that one season, just make him, rot on the bench. Simple as that. If you don't make a statement, you are a weak manager. You are portraying the club as weak, and you are bowing down to his agents. That's it.
So going into the summer, I thought that getting a decision on Cavani and Pogba would mean that we need to make 2 less decisions on players to buy. So the sooner, I think the club has done relatively well in tying down Cavani so that we don't have to again go and invest 150 million on another striker for at least another year. We need to do that. We need to hear some positivity around Pogba soon. If that does not happen, I think the top three that you have shortlisted will again, that list will need to be extended to 4 or 5 players, which will make things difficult for us.
Definitely.
All right, let's keep going. So David De Gea.
Sell right now, like today only. Don't even wait till tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm not. Yeah, get a cheap replacement. We already have Jane Henderson. When De Gea came in, he was absolute shite. Everyone knew it, but the manager showed him confidence. He improved. He became what he is. But all right, 5 seasons. He was one of the best in the world. For 2 seasons, simply the best. But then for the last season, he's been poor and mediocre. I won't even say average. Few good games there and there, but apart from that, mediocre and average. So if we can sell him for even around 30-35 million, let him go. Get a backup keeper for around 10 million. That would do.
You think Henderson will be our first choice then? In that case,
I am 100% sure Henderson will be our first choice from next season, regardless of De Gea staying or going. If we can get rid of him, if we can sell him for some money, good for us. We take huge wages off our books that will, can be handy for like 3 players. He is almost on 400k. So that's huge. Absolutely huge.
The next name on the list is Anthony Martial.
If I have to, I will just simply terminate his contract. If it's on me, but it's not on me, and I don't see anyone, taking him or paying the money which we will want. I do think it would be anyway his last season. That totally depends on how he performs.
Right.
He has been injury prone this season. I was expecting much better after what he did last season. So as of now, I would be like, just keep him, while like 51% keep him, 49% sell him. So at this point of time, I would like just keep him.
He could be used as, I know salary would be an issue again with a club, the club that I'm going to mention, Dortmund. If we are going to buy Sancho, why not use him as a makeshift? Right?
No, because Dortmund are smart. They don't want lazy players. No.
True.
They are not like us.
True.
Yeah, they already have their replacements ready. They got Renier from Real Madrid for 2-year loan. They already have Gio Reyna coming up. Why would we need someone lazy like Martial, who would be like just having thumbs up, not putting up any effort?
Yeah, that has been my problem with him over the seasons. Like I was happy that he had a great season last time around, and I was hoping more. But injuries and then again attitude seems like a big issue.
That all comes down to the attitude. You see a 34-year-old Cavani running in the 120th minute, like he is the first minute of the game, and then you see a 24-year-old Martial, even in the 10th minute, it's like he's already been so tired.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's on Ole. Ole got to make these decisions. If I see Martial starting in front of above like Cavani, I'm gonna lose my shit. That's totally like Ole being a pussy. If he can't start Martial, if he can't start Cavani over Martial in the coming season. If Cavani is fit, he plays every Premier League game.
Yeah.
We will be having problems.
Sorry, the next 4 players that I have all signed new contracts in the last 12 months, which just shows the state of affairs. They've recently signed contracts and we are still debating about their future. Eric Bailly, Nemanja Matic, Juan Mata, and Pereira.
Sell Pereira. Mata will eventually leave. Bailey should be used as a decoy in the, as a bait, or you can sell as a swap player for Pau Torres. He can be used in that. If we are getting him, if we are not getting Varane. And when it comes to Matic was signed for a particular reason, because we are not having any particular DM. So matching in the back room can be a big help to players like Fred and players like McTominay, even James Garner coming in. So keep Matic. He has a totally different role. He is not like on 300,000 wages. He did sign the contract, but still at minimal. Pereira can be sold for around 10 million to any club in the world. There are some teams in which he can thrive. He got the technical skills, not the pace, but he is technical player and he can thrive. But yeah, players like Bailey, Mata will eventually leave because we all know Lingard will be back, because I don't see who can afford him after what he did with West Ham. His price has just skyrocketed. So if someone don't get him, then Mata is going out. If Lingard is being sold, then we might keep Mata.
And that was the next two names on my list: Jesse Lingard and Diego Dalot.
Sell Dalot. I don't see the point of keeping Dalot what he's offering us. I would rather have just sell him, take that whatever 15-16 million we get, and try to get Trippier. Because Trippier is someone who will give us experience. He is absolutely fantastic with his ball delivery. And he will, push the likes of, Aaron Wan-Bissaka to, perform more, just like Telles did. And I don't see, apart from, few steps, what, he done the dribbling, what Dalot brings to the table. I don't know. He is young, he can improve. I'm not saying he is a shit player, but he is not something we want. And if we have to keep a backup like him, I would rather keep Lord. Ethan Lord from the academy than Diego Dalot. I would go for experience, just like we got Telles. We should go and try to get Trippier, who will just, always try to make Bissaka better. And when he gets his chances, we all know what quality Trippier possesses with his deliveries. So that would be another added Arsenal.
And Jesse Lingard, would you keep him or would you sell him?
That depends. If I'm getting 30 million for Jesse Lingard, I will sell him. If I'm getting 15 or 20, I won't.
Okay.
If selling Lingard to West Ham means we can get right, sell him.
Next name might come as a surprise. He just signed last summer. Pellistri, on loan. He hasn't featured. Do you think he has a future at United?
No. It was just we always get excited with the likes of young talents when we sign young talents, and that was a master move by Glazers. It was like, we are giving you two youngsters. You wanted Sancho, we have giving you Amad and Pellistri. He is this, he is that. Might have potential, but I don't see him starting over Amad. And if Sancho comes, Sancho, even over Greenwood. So what's the point of keeping him on the bench? A 19-year-old. Sell him for whatever price you got him for, 10, 11 million, whatever it is.
Do you think Dan James has done enough? Would you
He's
keep
a
him?
good spot player. I would keep him. He is a limited player with abilities, but that's what he is. We always knew what he was all about. Just running, just stretching the defense. It's not like he was going to dribble and become prime Ronaldo all of a sudden. His job is to, help his defenders when we play against a strong team, where the others will have the majority of the ball. And then he has to just take the ball and just run with it. So if he can add the crossing abilities, then he is more than a good player on the bench.
The last name on my list again is a surprise. Donny van de Beek. Fabrizio Romano, interestingly, mentioned Pogba and Van de Beek as two key decisions that United will have to make. Before that, I was absolutely adamant that he will stay because it's only been 12 months since he came in. Even though he has not gotten his fair share of opportunities, I thought he would stay. What are your thoughts? What would you do with that?
I do think he will stay. There is no sense of selling one central midfielder you have in your team in case Pogba gets injured. And if Pogba is leaving, that Donny becomes a sure starter. So as you said, it's a key decision which we have to make. That totally depends on how we're going to handle Pogba's situation. If we know that
Yeah.
he won't be signing a new contract, he's leaving. All right,
Yeah.
fine. Dhoni becomes a starter straight away.
But a quick word on what do you think of Ole's management of Dhoni over the entire
No,
season?
I do think he might have used him a bit more, but not very much. I am happy with how he has treated Dhoni, because Dhoni, coming into a new league, he has, and when he could have got his opportunities when Pogba was injured, he became injured as well. People forget that fact that he was also injured when Maxwell was playing and Pogba was out, and he also was out.
Yeah.
So first season, I would say like 75% Ole has treated, but yeah, there have been few games where Dhoni could have started, and where even I was disappointed to see him on the bench.
So we went through a list of 12 to 14 names that we might potentially have to make a decision on. We spoke about 3 priority positions that we need to make signings. That makes it close to 15 decisions that we have to make in a very short period of time in a Euro summer transfer window. Do you think the new management with Murtaugh, Dan Fletcher are capable of making these many decisions within a
No,
short span of?
absolutely not. Mota is just a pawn. Simple as that. Here, Woodward was leaving. He put up, he put his own Muppet, and he regarded him as, DOF. Now he can control anyway, even if he's within the club or outside the club. It's not like he has appointed Van der Sar, where he would take his own decisions and he will make the signings or talk about the departures. As I said, this window, we are just going to make one primary signing, because our obsession with Sancho, it might be Sancho. And apart from that, it would be all over the same. Price problem, PR stuff, we are close. We are, having talks with the players, agents, this, but yeah, ultimately the fee was not agreed.
Yeah. With Woodward leaving, who would you get in next?
From the club only, there is a guy who is going to be the next CEO. I guess his name is Charles Arnold or Russell Arnold. I don't know.
Richard Arnold.
Anyway, yeah, Richard Arnold. Yeah, he's a Muppet as well. Everyone knows. Nothing's gonna change. It's the same cycle. It's just the name just changing. That's it.
With the European Super League debacle and all the great Glazer protests, what would your stance be against the Glazers?
My stance has been the same since they started taking out money from the club. Just get the fuck out of here. It's been people fail to understand, even those pundits who just sit and they are like the protests are happening because United are not winning anything. It's not like that. These protests has been happening like for decades. Even after the green and gold movement has been around for 15-16 years after the Glazers took the club. So whatever happens, obviously it's the root of the problem is the Glazers. Till the time they are owning this club, I'm not hopeful of anything. Few good signings here and there, but that's it. And that's only because they are facing the huge outcry right now. They are seeing that finally they will be losing money, and that too in millions. Our new training kit sponsors, they withdrew. They were like, the circumstances are too hostile.
Yeah.
So when they will see they are losing money, hundreds and hundreds of millions, and then they will be like, either we sell or either we invest.
Yeah. As a fan and as someone who is who does not consider Glazers as the rightful owners of Manchester United, I would hate to see a single Manchester United shirt being sold with the new Team Viewer logo on it next season. As a social media influencer, what would your stance or what would your message be to the fans who go out and spend money and fill Glazers' pockets?
To be very honest, that's the choice of the fans. And to be very frank, not even 5% of the jersey sales goes to the Glazers. So regardless of whoever buys, I have never bought any jersey from the store.
Hmm.
You know, never. I always get it from my friend's shop. You
Hmm.
know, so it's up to the people. You know, many want to
Hmm.
sell money, but the fact is, not even 5% of the jersey sale goes to the Glazers. You know,
It-
it's basically
Yeah.
it will go to the team. You know, it will go to
Hmm.
them. Yeah, what we can do is the MUFC subscriptions.
Hmm.
You know, we can try to not buy it. We
Hmm.
can avoid, you know, like not taking up the membership, which
Hmm.
we take the individual membership. These sort of money, it's not a huge amount of money. It's not
Yeah.
billions, but at least it will be like, you know, they are being tested in the waters.
Yeah.
It's like basically saying that, you know, now it's enough. We
Yeah.
are not taking it. So there are few things which we can do.
Yeah.
But there are certain things like, of course, we can't stop watching United. You know, people will,
Yeah.
yes, even if people are going to the stadium, they should make their voices heard. I won't stop anyone from going to the stadium or not buying the merchandise. It's up to them. You know,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
it's of course showing the love for the club. You know, if someone decides not to go to stadium, it's basically is like, you know, if we are playing in a half empty stadium, it affects the players.
Yeah.
So you also have to think about that stuff as well.
Right.
All right, you can go 76,000 with all your green and gold badges, with all the posters, the banners of Blazers out, you know, and it will be extra positive energy.
Yeah.
So
And
buying merchandise or not, it's just 5%. It's a
Yeah.
huge amount, but still it's something, you know, people don't think much about it. Whoever wants to buy it will eventually buy it.
I would rather have people buying replica green and gold kits, which are not Adidas, not Manchester United badged, just the replicas that you create
Yeah,
and wear, rather than us going and buying new merchandise. But again, that's my opinion. As you said, everyone
yeah,
has their own right to make a choice.
exactly.
All right. The last question before we close, Anshuman, this has been a terrific chat. Your thoughts on this season? How would you rate it out of 10? And what is your expectation from next season?
I would give it 8 because of our, you know, our inability to win the games which matters the most.
Hmm.
So next season, that totally depends upon the signing. As I said, if we are getting those three players, those three positions sorted out, not backup, but the prime targets, we should have at least one trophy, whether it's FA Cup or whether we get a Carabao or whether we challenge for the title or a deep run in the CL. But if we are not making those signings, we are not getting top four. That I'm sure about. This squad, we are not getting top four next season if we are not making the addition.
And do you think even with those three signings, because this is something Saurabh and I were talking yesterday, given the season, right? Halfway through the season, we were at the top of the Premier League table, right? City were behind us, and then they caught up with us in February. Even if we make those centre backs, CDM and Sancho signing, do you think we are still ready to challenge on all four levels, or should we prioritize, narrow our focus, say Premier League and Champions League is what we want to do, and then
For
push
next
for two
season,
more trophies the next season when you sign more
see,
players?
that's what I'm saying. With a club of United stature and with the history behind us, you know, it's not like we will just give up on one competition. Get rid of Carabao, you know. Play whoever you want to in the Carabao. I don't give, you know, a rat's ass about Carabao. No one even watches it.
Right.
So, so it's basically we should, with the signings, we should at least go for a title run, you know, a title challenge. Very, as I'm saying, with the signings, if we get the signings within 2 years, he should deliver the trophy. I won't say he should win the Premier League immediately because players takes time to acclimatize with the league,
Right.
whether it's world class or whatever, you know, even Sancho or whoever is coming. But if the next season, if 2023 with the signings, if Ole is not delivering us the trophy, he should resign or he should be sacked, whatever it is. Because right now he's making his own team. He has got like what 3 or 4 signings in so far. Daniel James is a backup. Maguire and Harry. Oh, sorry, Maguire and Bruno. And then you have Cavani, who is also a free signing. So
Right.
these are the signings we have made, and Visaka. So like three good signings, and one is a backup and one is a free signing. So that's how dismal our window is for the last 2 years.
Right.
That's the whole point. If you don't back him, there is no way we are getting top 4. Even if we back him up, you should give him at least 2 years. And if he can deliver the title straight away, then absolutely we all are going to be celebrating that.
Yeah, I think we are all waiting for that moment where Solskjaer wins his first United trophy as a manager. That'll be a dream come true.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
All right.
So another maybe a quick fire thing is 3 players who actually met your expectations this season, met or even exceeded your expectations.
3 players who Harry, Maguire definitely, like he has been a rock, and now we know when he is out of the team his importance. He might be a bit slow, but what he brings to the table is totally different. You can't, certain players have certain qualities. His positioning and his, aerial ability is next to none. And if we get a fast partner, that would be a centre back pairing to be fearful of. Bruno, of course, after the first season, this season he has been immense as well. Yeah, I would have wanted him, a bit more in the bigger game. But then the players around him needs to, support him as well. You just can't keep him on that. I was 100% sure about Cavani making an impact, but this big, no, absolutely not. I always knew he was going to be a backup, but the number of goals and the important goals he has scored, I am definitely looking to see Cavani play in front of 76,000 at OT and scoring bangers in the Premier League or even in the UCL. So these 3 players next season again will be very key to our ambitions of any title. Let's see how it goes.
Okay. And I know we are again running out of time, but 3 players, if you can name, who didn't meet your expectations or you're disappointed.
De Gea, obviously. It was like I was expecting that since Dino is back, he will raise his game to another level. But he didn't do that. Martial, absolutely awful. Like, why he is even in the team, I don't know after this season. But I still hope he can turn it around. Lindelof, one good game, next shit. One good game, next shit. One good game, next shit. And the cycle continues. He literally looks like, he will sit in his pants the moment a winger or a striker starts to run at him. He looks fearful. He just don't know what to do. And he is so weak for a centre back in the Premier League. Aerial ability is 0. It gets easily shrugged, shoulder to shoulder, and he is out of position. So these 3 players, that were a huge disappointment.
Cool. Thanks, Anshuman. So Saurabh,
Thanks, Nikhil.
Yeah. Any other things? Any other topics you wanted to bring up?
I think this was fascinating to get your opinions, Anshuman. Thank you for spending so much time on a Sunday evening. But thank you so much. Hopefully, we'll have future collaborations as well.
Definitely.
Great. Thanks, Anshuman.
Thanks, Saurabh, for having
Thanks
me.
everyone for watching this. Bye.
Thanks, Anshuman. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.